The Harmattan wind whispered through the dry leaves of the ube tree in their small compound, carrying with it the scent of wood smoke and the bittersweet feeling of departure. Adaeze, a girl of 12 whose bright eyes held a universe of unspoken dreams, knelt before her mother, her small hands clutching a worn travel bag. Inside were her two best wrappers, a comb, and the hopes of her entire lineage. Her mother, Mama Adaeze, adjusted the faded wrapper on her own waist and took her daughter's face in her hands. "Nee, listen to me," she said, her voice thick with emotion but firm with resolve. "Lagos is not like our village, Umueke. It is a big place, a forest of concrete and people. But your aunt, my sister Nkechi, has made it there. She is a big madam now. She has promised me you will go to a proper school, the kind with uniformed teachers and a big library. You will not hawk oranges in the sun anymore. You will read books and become somebody. Do you understand?" Adaeze nodded. A single tear traced a path through the dust on her cheek. She clutched the crumpled note her mother gave her, a piece of paper bearing the address to her aunt's house in Surulere, a map to a promised land of opportunity. The journey to Lagos was a whirlwind of noise, colors, and smells. The rickety bus groaned under the weight of passengers and their luggage, rattling its way through towns that grew progressively larger and louder. When Adaeze finally disembarked at the chaotic Ojota Motor Park, the sheer scale of the city took her breath away. It was just as her mother had described, a forest of concrete. Following the scribbled directions, she found her way to a street lined with magnificent houses, each one hidden behind high walls, topped with sharp, glittering wires. Her aunt's house was the most imposing of them all, a 2-story mansion painted a brilliant white. With a trembling hand, she knocked on the massive iron gate. Aunt Nkechi appeared, a vision in expensive purple lace and heavy gold jewelry that glittered in the afternoon sun. "Adaeze Nama, welcome," she exclaimed, pulling the young girl into an embrace that felt more like a performance than a genuine welcome. The first few days were a dazzling blur. Adaeze was given a small room to herself, a luxury she had never known. The food was plentiful, and her cousins, Ebuka and Chidinma, though aloof, left her alone. True to her word, Aunt Nkechi took her to a prestigious primary school, Bright Stars Academy. The headmistress, a prim woman named Mrs. Adebayo, assessed Adaeze with a keen eye. She saw the raw intelligence and the burning desire to learn behind the village girl's shy demeanor and admitted her into primary 6. The next day, her aunt took her shopping. Adaeze felt a thrill she had never experienced as she was handed a brand new leather school bag, 2 sets of crisp checkered uniforms, shiny black shoes, and a complete set of textbooks that smelled of fresh ink and endless possibilities. Holding these treasures, her heart swelled with gratitude. Her mother was right. This was it, the beginning of her new life, a life where her dreams could finally take flight. However, the glitter of this new life began to fade almost as soon as it appeared. The moment the school driver dropped them off and the front door clicked shut, Aunt Nkechi's mask of benevolence would vanish. Her smiles were replaced with sneers and her sweet words turned into sharp commands. Adaeze's role in the house swiftly changed from that of a niece to an unpaid housemaid. Her day began at 4 a.m., long before the city stirred. Her small, still-growing arms would ache from pounding yam in a giant mortar for the family's breakfast. She would then sweep the entire compound, scrub the marble floors until they gleamed, and hand-wash a mountain of clothes, including her cousin's school uniforms and her aunt's delicate lace blouses. By the time she was done, she would have just enough time to quickly bathe and rush to get ready for school, often without a bite of breakfast. School became her sanctuary, her only escape. The moment she stepped through the gates of Bright Stars Academy, she could breathe. She was no longer Adaeze, the housemaid, but Adaeze, the brilliant student. She devoured her books, her mind a thirsty sponge, soaking up every drop of knowledge. Her teachers were astounded by her progress. But back at home, her academic success only fueled her aunt's resentment.
So you think you are better than my own children because you can answer a few questions in class? Aunt Nkechi would hiss, her eyes filled with a venomous jealousy. Her cousins, taking a cue from their mother, escalated their torment. They would hide her textbooks, tear pages from her notebooks, and mock her village accent relentlessly. Her aunt would pile on more chores, especially on the eve of a test, ensuring Adaize was too exhausted to study. Adaize often did her homework huddled in the dim light of the kitchen corridor, using an old torchlight, her stomach growling with hunger as she was only allowed the leftover scraps from the family's dinner. The breaking point arrived on the school's annual prize-giving day. Adaize, through sheer grit and secret late-night study sessions, had defied all odds. Her name was told out not once, not twice, but 5 times. Best in mathematics, best in English language, best in social studies, best in basic science, and finally, the most coveted prize of all, overall best student in primary 6. As she made her way to the stage for the 5th time, a frail figure in a faded but clean uniform, a hush fell over the assembled parents and teachers. Her class teacher, Mrs. Bello, and the headmistress, Mrs. Adebayo, exchanged worried glances. They had noticed the persistent sadness in her eyes, the way she would flinch at loud noises, and the visible thinness of her frame. After the ceremony, Mrs. Adebayo called Adaize into her office. "Adaize, my dear, we are all so proud of you, but I am worried. Is everything all right at home?" The simple act of kindness, so alien to her life outside of school, broke down the walls Adaize had built around her heart. The story of her silent suffering, of the endless chores, the hunger, and the cruelty poured out of her in a torrent of tears. The headmistress listened, her initial concern morphing into a cold, determined anger. That very evening, Mrs. Adebayo, accompanied by Mrs. Bello and a stern-looking woman from the social welfare office, paid an unannounced visit to Aunt Nkechi's mansion. They found Adaize on her hands and knees, scrubbing the expansive living room floor with a rag, while her cousins, Ebuka and Chidinma, lay on the plush sofas, engrossed in a video game. Aunt Nkechi, flustered and caught completely off guard, tried to put on her usual charming act, but the sight of a weary, tear-streaked Adaize on the floor told a story no lie could cover. Faced with the irrefutable evidence of her wickedness and the threat of public disgrace and serious legal consequences, the big madame's carefully constructed world crumbled. Adaize was immediately removed from her aunt's custody. The school, recognizing her extraordinary potential and resilience, granted her a full scholarship, which included a place in their boarding house. In the safe and nurturing environment of the school hostel, free from the tyranny of her wicked aunt, Adaize truly began to blossom. She was no longer a timid, frightened girl, but a confident and happy young lady who excelled in everything she did. Her mother's promise of a better life, though it had taken a dark and painful detour, was finally fulfilled. Adaize's story became a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a real-life folktale reminding everyone that no darkness can extinguish a star that is destined to shine brightly.